Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Today we're here with another video. In today's video, we will be going over what you should and what you should not invest into going into the release of Old School Mobile. So, Old School RuneScape Mobile is an app that is planned to be released in winter of 2017, and so basically that means either December, January, or February, so one of the next 1 to 3 months. With that said, this is going to change the game entirely as far as what people are training whenever they're online, because it will allow a lot more access to AFK-able skills that people normally wouldn't have been training. So, what we'll be going over today is practically what is going to go up and what's going to go down in regard to almost every skill within the game. Most skills are affected for the most part. Stuff like construction and high click intensive skills aren't going to be as affected as stuff like fishing and cooking that's obviously really AFK and more prone to be done on an app. With that said, I will be focusing more on higher level content more so than lower levels. I know a lot of people like to anticipate what the low levels will be doing and what all of the noobs coming to Old School Mobile will be doing on the app, but more than likely the way I see it is most people that will be playing the app will be people already playing the game. Anyone that actually finds Old School Mobile on the App Store and plays it, they're going to realize it's way too much for them and they probably can't stay within the game. I mean, there's just so much to do and there's so much to learn that to do it on a phone just is not the right way to go about it. Most people that actually only end up playing mainly phone would be people that played before, and for the most part, I'm going to assume that that's a relatively small amount. However, if you see differently, feel free to invest as you please. So overall, I guess you can combine attack, strength, defense, HP, and Slayer pretty much all into one. It's going to be kind of the same thing, and what I would recommend is that people are going to be AFKing combat skills, whether that be Slayer or just being in Nightmare Zone and actually just AFKing their actual combat skills. Overall, what I see this doing is pretty much hiking the price of whatever high tier armor you can get your hands on, as long as it's related to melee for the most part. I think all that's going to go up. It may not go up a ton, like obviously whips aren't going to jump from 1.6, 1.7 mil to 3, but you know, maybe they go over the 2 mil mark because a lot of people are going to want to AFK whenever they're not near their computer, and more than likely they'll do it in the form of melee, since that's one of the most favorable skills within the game and one of the most fun to train. Some side effects of this, I would say in the long run, Slayer drops are going to go down in price, but that's not going to be something you have to worry about necessarily right off the bat. As more and more people can AFK Slayer on a phone, obviously they're going to be higher and higher level, thus allowing them to get more drops, and they'll be getting them more often as they're playing more, so overall the price of drops are going to go down. On top of that, Nightmare Zone, one thing I will say is people are going to probably be buying their daily herb boxes, and it may affect the price of herbs a little bit, but not a whole lot coming to the game through that, and you have to rely a lot on people buying their dailies, so it could be something that happens. Now, one thing I do want to add that isn't really related to any skill in total, dailies overall will be something that people will do. So something like farming, obviously people are going to want to do more farm runs, which will decrease the price of herbs and increase the price of herb seeds, and on top of that you'll have people buying their daily battle staffs more and more, which will allow for battle staff prices to go down, and probably charged orb prices will go up a little bit. Moving down the list, as far as range is concerned, the only real things I see happening here are possibly Zora skills going up because people are going to be AFKing with a blowpipe in Nightmare Zone, and on top of that you could have chin prices go up. If anything, I would say chin prices wouldn't go down because there's really no reason for it, but people could be AFKing chins more and more while they are on their phone, so that's one thing that you can look out for. Now, as far as prayer is concerned, I thought that the bones were going to go up because more people were going to want to AFK prayer while they were on their app, but one thing that's recently happened is we now have a poll for wilderness rejuvenation, and now there will be a temple in the wilderness where you can offer bones and have a chance to receive 50% of them back. So overall, the price of dragon bones are going to drop pretty heavily over time, and on top of that, people will be camping a lot of wyverns, so those two factors combined will make it so that bone prices actually go down. Now, as far as magic, there are a lot of methods that people could be doing while they're on their phone, stuff like alching and a lot of stuff like that, but most magic methods actually have pretty easily capped prices as far as that goes, and they don't vary all too much. One thing I would recommend though, if you want to get ahead, go ahead and invest in unstrung amulets, whether that be unholy symbols or unstrung gold amulets. Both of those are going to go up because people are going to want to AFK a strained jewelry method, which allows for a lot of magic XP, and it is really AFK. Now I'm going to skip over runecrafting and construction. Neither of them really have a huge impact on the economy as far as it goes with this update. One thing I will say though, bloods and souls will be easier to craft, but bloods are pretty much trapped at whatever price they are now because you can sell them to a shop for 200 GP, and souls are relatively low at 140 GP per one, so I don't see them changing all too much. Now, in regards to thieving, thieving's obviously going to be one that is really nice to do on mobile, but it won't have a real impact on the economy. More gold will be coming into the game, but it's so seldom that it really won't be anything that you'll see impact. As far as agility and Herblore, obviously you could do agility on mobile. I wouldn't imagine too many people would do it, but if it is something that a lot of people do, amylase could go down in price, but really I don't see that happening. As far as Herblore goes, as I said earlier, herb prices are probably going to drop, which means you might be able to get some different margins, but for the most part, not a whole lot to see there. Now, as far as crafting is concerned, there's really nothing you can invest in for this. Battle staff prices, as I said before, will more than likely go down, and with people being able to camp, I guess, or AFK green dragons and blue dragons, you'll have a lower price of most of the dragon hides. One thing I would say is you'll probably be able to make more money off of tanning dragon hides, so if you want to go ahead and do that as a money-making method, that's going to be one that will be better after the update. And on top of that, you may be able to get a little less GP per XP for crafting after this update comes out, so that may be worth it to wait on for you. Now, one thing that's going to change the game, obviously, is fletching. Fletching in two ways is going to be huge upon release. So one thing that people can actually look out for is for dart tips to go up. Now, those are going to just boom on day of release because people are going to want to see what they can do on mobile, but go ahead and invest in that as you please. This is a very common and a very easy to see investment, so a lot of people may already be in on it and may be too late, but if you want to go ahead and try it, feel free. Another thing I will say is the overall price of unstrung bows will be going down because a lot more people will be AFKing fletching on this app, and thus the price of unstrungs is going to go down. Now, if you're willing to sit on a computer, though, you will make a lot more money by actually making the unstrungs into actual bows by putting them together with bow strings, so if you want to do that as a method, make sure to keep that in mind. Next up, I already covered Slayer, and as far as Hunter goes, that's not going to be something anyone is going to want to do on mobile, I would imagine. There are obviously some exceptions to that, but for the most part, it's not something that's going to be more fun on mobile. Now, next up is mining. Mining obviously is going to be one that a lot of people will do with Motherlode Mine. Ore prices probably going to go down, so I'd stay away from those, but it is definitely a method that's going to be very viable upon release of this update, and is going to be something I would recommend a lot of people to do because it's going to be so easy and so AFK. Next up is smithing. Smithing, there's not a whole lot to plan for. Now, upon release, you will be able to make more money by smithing dart tips, so if that's something you'd like to AFK, make sure to do that within the first week of this update being out, because you'll be making more money than you probably ever will doing that method. And on top of that, whenever this is released and Old School Mobile is actually out, a lot of people will be killing gargoyles in their spare time as far as making money goes, and with that you have a lot of gold ore coming into the game. So one thing I would recommend, if you want to get a lot of smithing XP, wait until after the update. Gold ore prices will drop, and then you'll be able to swoop on in and get really good GP per XP rates. Next up is fishing. Fishing is going to be one that is heavily impacted by this. Fishing, obviously one of the most common skills within the game, along with cooking, that people do, and both relatively AFK. Now with fishing, a lot of people are going to be doing Cannonballs. That's the way I see it. It's a money-making method. You can make like 400, 500k an hour fishing. It's great. And on top of that, you know, you get 50k XP per hour. It's really nice. So a lot of people will be doing this, regardless of the rates. People will be doing this because it's just a good fishing method, and it makes you money, and it's really, really AFK. And so as more and more Cannonballs come within the game, the price of every other food is going to fall. No matter where it is, Cannonballs are almost one of the best foods within the game, and so as their price dips, other foods will as well, because no one will be buying them if they can buy Cannonballs instead. So as far as cooking goes, cooking I imagine is one that's going to be relatively unaffected. Obviously the prices of cooked fish and uncooked fish are going to go down, but what I think is going to happen is the margin between uncooked to cooked fish will stay relatively the same, since so many people are going to be doing fishing that I really don't think cooking would be all too affected. Now with Firemaking, we are going to see some stuff happen, and obviously that's going to be in the form of Wintertot. Wintertot, really AFK, so a lot of people are going to be looking to go there to try to get a little bit of levels, and so with that, hopefully some seeds will come into the game and seed prices will drop a little bit. I don't see it being all too drastic, sadly enough. Ideally, seed prices would drop a lot, but it's not really something that I see happening now. And then lastly, woodcutting. Woodcutting is going to be one I recommend to stay clear from having any amount of logs within your bank upon release. Pretty much everyone's going to want to AFK woodcutting, especially redwoods and magic, stuff that are higher tier trees, just because they're so AFK, so I'd recommend staying away from having any amount of money invested into any of this. But one thing I will say is, as prices of logs go down, and as prices of cut logs go down as well, you are going to have to see some sort of thing happen to allow the strung bows to actually be worth their alch price, because if the price of logs and unstrung bows go down a ton, bowstrings are going to have to go up, because the high alch price of these items are already so close to their price that you're going to need something to actually recoup what the high alch price is. So I would definitely say that bowstrings are a good investment going into this, even though they've almost already hit their peak right now at 160 GP per one. So that's it for this individual skills. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about more of just some overall ones that I see happening that I didn't cover specifically in each of these skills. So the first thing I see happening is, at least upon release or within the first week to month, I do think that dragon pickaxe prices are going to go up along with dragon axe prices. I'd recommend just being heavily invested into those, especially dragon axes, since 60 woodcutting is pretty easily attainable by almost everyone that plays the game. So dragon axe is probably going to go up. I would recommend that as a really good merge. And as a side merge, dragon pickaxes could be doing pretty well as well, with Motherlode Mine being more effective on the app. On top of that, unenchanted bolts are going to be something I would recommend keeping an eye on. Now, whether you want to buy them unenchanted now or actually put them together, each one you can do on your own. But basically what you do is, all you have to do is just do enchantments, and if you have 2 fingers, which I'd imagine most of us do, you can just click on the enchantment and then on the bolt, and if you have 2 fingers doing this at once, it's insane magic XP. So a lot of people may be buying the unenchanted bolts to be able to do this method, so that's one thing I'd also keep an eye out for. Now, another thing I didn't mention as far as smithing is concerned, I recommend highly to stay uninvested into cannonballs. I know cannonballs have hit an all-time low right now, and maybe they end up going up a little bit, but once this is released, cannonballs are definitely going to go down, because this is going to be a money-making method that is 3 minutes of AFK doing absolutely nothing. So a lot of people are going to be making cannonballs, and I think the price of those could go down even more. Now, the last all-encompassing thing that I want to talk about is just some overall AFK moneymakers as far as melee is concerned. Gargoyle drops, wyvern drops, and green/blue dragons. All of those things are going to lose value in regards to their drops and what they have dropped. So I'd recommend staying away from being invested into any of those items, as I think all of them are hazardous, because as more and more people kill them, they're obviously going to be selling more and more of those items. Thus, the supply is going up, demand's staying the same relatively. So I'd say overall, probably best to stay uninvested into any of the items dropped by those monsters. So in the end, obviously, these are all just speculations by me. I'm not someone from the future, so I can't guarantee that any of these things will happen, but with the trends that I've seen playing this game for the years that I have, these are all things that I think are going to happen. Now, I could be wrong as to how many new players will be playing on the app. I obviously would be all for having more and more people play, because it's just, you know, having that noob community is such a nice thing to have, and it's something that we've been missing for a while. So I'm definitely not against it. I just don't think that's going to happen as much. And as far as all of these things going up and down based on the skills, I think I'm relatively close with a lot of them, and I think a lot of the things that I said will ring true. But if you guys have any disagreements or anything else that you guys would like to add as far as what you think could be a good or bad investment, leave it in the comments down below. If you guys enjoy my content, make sure to leave a like, and on top of that, if you guys want to see more of it in the future, subscribe to my channel. But with that said, hopefully you guys have a wonderful day, and peace.